Yeah, I think it's just being able to trust First Nations people as the experts of First Nations issues, and not undervaluing us. We're psychologists, we're counsellors, we're mental health professionals, we're doctors, we're like accountants, business owners, whatever. We are experts in our fields, and we are the experts of our own lives and our own communities in many ways. So I think it just comes down to backing ourselves. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Strong Brother, Strong Sister Foundation podcast, episode 3. Keats, here we are again, Bruss.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, on beautiful Wadawurrung country. So before we do start, I'd like to acknowledge the lands that we are meeting on today, the lands of the Wadawurrung people. Pay my deepest respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. For those who don't know, my name's Cormach Evans. I'm Brad Yorta man. That's the founder and managing director here at Strong Brother, Strong Sister Foundation.
I'm Keeden, a proud Yorta Rajri and Jajarong man. Really excited for today's episode. We're talking about a lot of positive events, experiences and opportunities we've got going forward with a lot of young people that we work with. And yeah, I think maybe if you want to start and talk about some of the exciting opportunities we have coming up with some of our young people, especially some of the stuff where we go out on country, and even some interstate trips as well.
100%. And just, acknowledging this episode's pretty raw, we haven't really scripted any of this one. So usually we have a bit of a plan, but I said to Keaton, I'm just going to go off record today and just sort of do my own thing with this, and let's yarn about these things. But that's all I've sort of given you today, Bruss. So sorry.
No, all good.
Just want to let everyone at home know, which is great. But I think I just was thinking, it's such just with school holidays coming up, a few trips we've got coming up with some of the young ones that we're working with. It's a really good way to be actually, and I sort of reflected on it. I was like, hey, we actually don't really share this side of the work that we do, so I thought it'd be a really cool idea to be able to actually discuss it and share that we actually do this as well, which because it's probably one of the most important pieces to the work that we do, especially for our young ones that are or have grown up in out of home care systems, and it's such an important piece in terms of creating those connections to identity, to belonging, to community, to culture, and so much more, because we know what comes from those. So today I thought it'd be a really good one to actually talk about the work that we do with young people living in out of home care and children, obviously, as well, and supporting our young ones that are living in out of home care, but also all young people that we work with to be able to return home to their traditional countries. Because, like I said, it's such an important piece, and every single individual, child, young person, adult, elder deserves the right to return home to their traditional country, to their traditional roots, to their traditional community.
Yeah, especially when that right has been taken away from them.
100%.
So I think, in Victoria, we've got some of the most displaced people in Australia in terms of, coming from all different parts of Australia and brought down here and put into, different missions and orphanages and schools. And so especially down here, there's a lot of disconnection from family, community, culture, country. And so, as you spoke about in terms of that important piece, it's almost more important in Victoria than in a lot of places, just because it has been so impacted by those policies. And so, it's really, like you said, almost it should be a right for every young person and child to know where they're from and to go back to their country and, like you spoke about, develop those connections and with family and community and culture. So, I think it's really exciting, but it's also, just much needed. And I think, yeah, anything that we can do to support that journey for the young person is, yeah, pretty critical.
100%, 100%, Buzz. And there's so many elements to it too. Like for those at home listening that don't know too much about what we're chatting about right now, back not too long ago, realistically, there was the assimilation policy introduced by government, which was, as it's called, it was the assimilation policy. It was there to assimilate First Nations people, bleed us out. And as a result, it saw thousands of First Nations babies and children that are now adults today, and including my father, was a part of the stolen generation. And yeah, we see, especially here on Wadawurrung country, there was a large amount of um, First Nations people that were stolen from their families, from their communities, from their traditional lands, and placed down here on Wadawurrung country. You have, Aranda, Yorta Yorta, Nurringerry, you know, three different states and territories just there that I know off the top of my head. But yeah, really largely a real large amount of people displaced. And, my dad's 56, I believe. So yeah, it didn't happen too long ago at all. And and it's still happening today in the childcare system.
Mm.
Think back just over 10 years ago now, the Victorian Commission for Children and Young People did the Task Force 1000. And back then, there was 1,000 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children here in Victoria that were living in out of home care. And the Task Force 1000 was designed to look at the systems, create recommendations to inform the child protection system how to do better, how to support First Nations children, youth, and their families and communities to ensure that that number at 1,000 children would actually go down. And sadly, since it came into place and since that work was done, it's increased, and I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but a little while ago it was around 2,600 children, young people living in out of home care that identify as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. So at the moment, the rates of children and young people at risk of being in out of home care, we are 10 times more likely, which is disgusting, to be living in out of, or to be removed from family, from community, from homes, and placed in out of home care. So we do a lot of work in the out of home care space. We disrupt the space, we decolonize the space, we advocate for our young people and our families. But what we're going to talk about today is this really important piece of work that we do to advocate for these young ones that we work with around ensuring they can do a return to country as part of legislation here in Victoria. Aboriginal children and young people living in out of home care have the right to a return to country paid for child protection. But as we found in lots of reports, the the rates of those return to countries being completed or even done or explored is extremely low. And we at times have done them ourselves and funded them ourselves, but other times we have been able to push child protection and service providers to actually do what they're meant to do. So I thought it'd be a really good one to yarn about. Sorry, that was really long winded, but I think just to give some context around it. You and me have been real privileged, I think, to be able to do a number of return to countries with a number of young people since we started back in 2017. We've been to Nurringerry country. I've done one up on Arkanji country, Yorta Yorta country, Wurundjeri country, a few others, Palawa country down in Tasmania, and a few others, I believe. But yeah, I think for us, or for me personally, it's a real true privilege to be a part of that and to create that connection, and work with those young ones around how they would like to, I guess, conduct a return to country and what that looks like.
Yeah. And I think what's great about it is, like you said, it looks different for every young person. in terms of where they're at on their cultural journey, and whether they have family living there that we can meet up with as well, or whether maybe if their connection home isn't as strong, maybe it's elders or cultural centers that we can go to for them to hear stories about their traditional lands, and yeah, I guess what it was like, what it's like over there, and I guess to give them more of an insight to their mobs and who they are. So I think, yeah, it's really great how, like you said, it's we get to be a part of that journey and see the young person develop those connections. And I just wanted to, I guess, ask you a question about some of the benefits or positives and the outcomes you've seen from doing return to countries with, especially as many young people as you've seen and taken on the journey.
Yeah, I think it's different for every young person, like you sort of said, Russ. Yeah, I think I guess firstly, a lot of those individuals that we are working with, that we do those return to countries with, eventually, a lot of have lived in multiple households. And when I say multiple, I'm talking 20 to 30 different households, which is insane to even think. And so there's, a lot of those individuals haven't had that sustainability of a stable household, and constantly guessing when are they going to come tell me that I'm moving to a different household, but then also looking, at times carers commit to taking on a child or a young person, and life changes for those families or that household, and they can no longer care for that individual. And so I guess at times a lot of our young ones feel like they've been abandoned again and again and again, and that feeling is so valid, in many ways. And so there's that. I think what I've seen through some of the return to countries that we've done with the fellas that we've worked with, where I've only taken young men, and whenever we've had to support trans mob or to be able to go, would have trans mob supporting trans mob to do well, return to countries. But for me personally, as a straight Aboriginal man, supported young fellas to go along to those, and yeah, I think it's really grounded every young person that's gone. Um, and you see, it's like this. Once usually how we start it, we we work with the individual to understand. Most of the time, we do understand already where they're at in their cultural journey. But if not, we really get an understanding of where they're at, and ensure that they're comfortable with sort of their current cultural journey and what they'd like to explore, what they'd like to learn, and how they'd like to explore it. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of young people have completely different journeys to the next in terms of their cultural journey. And sometimes it may be overwhelming for some because theirs isn't as strong in their mind as the next person, in a way. And so we want to make sure that no one feels less, more, or anything. And we validate that their experience is their experience. I think that's the best way to explain it. So, yeah, we sit down and we look at what they'd like to do, what they'd like to see, where they'd like to go, who they'd like to meet. And a lot of the times it is, kicking off with a really detailed plan designed by the young person and supported by us. Um, a welcome and a smoking. So, a welcome to country, a smoking with elders, um, or a respected community member. And then usually we spend time with either their family, the family that they have connections to on their traditional country, or elders or community members. And then we go and explore sacred sites, and and really learn about the country that they come from, but also create those connections in terms of human beings, their family, if they are there still, the country itself, and learning about and understanding their traditional culture. Um, and so, yeah, I think that from that, once that smoking ceremony is done, you can just see visibly the body language of the individual change completely. You know, they're at home, like they are actually at home, but and most of the time for the first time ever. Which is the most special thing to watch and see, and you know, true privilege to see that. Um, but yeah, I think in many ways, you know, from what we've seen is we've seen increased health and well-being, we've seen confidence increase, we've seen mood at home increased. Um, you know, so many things, and it's just those ripple effects that continue on. You know,
Mm.
um, from a professional opinion and personal opinion from yourself as a one as a mental health professional, but also as Keeden Graham. Um, yeah, what do you see, Bruss?
Yeah, no, like, yeah, all of what you said, I also echo. But I think, yeah, it's a great opportunity as well, in some instances, to be a circuit breaker, to
Mm,
break from, whether it's um, some of the cycles that our young people can be in at times, whether
mm,
it's youth justice or whether it's not going to school or engaging in, community events or sport or whatever it is. Sometimes we've been able to use it as a way to break that cycle and circuit and get them to, I guess, focus on things that, yeah, really ground them and bring them back to who they are
mm,
instead of the, I guess the negative influences that are around them, or the trauma that they're experiencing on a day to day, and them trying to deal with that. So I think, yeah, as a circuit breaker, it's been really great. But also I think just as a way to say that there's more to life than the situation you're in. There's
mm,
all this culture out there. There's all your history. There's family. There's identity. There's community, and I think sometimes when you're in an out of home care system, you kind of just feel like another number.
oh,
You
yeah,
kind of, you feel just not really valued or appreciated. And I think to have, two positive mentors really invest in you and then take you home, as you said, and then, experience whether it's 3 or 4 days or up to a week. I think that really kind of, yeah, can be a groundbreaking moment in terms of, oh, okay, there's a lot more to than, me just being in a house with, 7 kids and
yeah,
workers that rotate around the clock and constantly leave, and, always having to adjust to my environment. It's sort of a way for them to take ownership and be empowered on their own journey. And so, yeah, like as you said, I think the benefits extend not only in the immediate as a way to break some of those cycles, but also into the future of aspirations and, where they want to take their life and their journey. And, whether it's ideas, whether it's, they want to get into painting now, they've
mm,
seen some painting on their home country and they're like, oh, I want to start painting. And then that's where they might want to start a business with, whether it's about culture or other things. So I think it's just about, yeah, using that as an opportunity can lead to so many different things as well. But we've also done a couple of trips, a couple of cultural trips to the NT, which I think have been really special as well.
mm,
Just because I think those are opportunities. I guess, yeah, it's not those young people's home countries, but it's cultural sharing from another
yeah,
way of living. And I think, yeah, the environment and the landscape up there, because it's so untouched by colonization in a lot of communities, it provides a really great way for young people to really disconnect. No reception, no, buildings or shops, or it's really a great way to be with yourself and your own thoughts and not have any other distractions. But I think, yeah, did you want to talk a bit about some of those trips as well and
yeah.
the connection we have with Northern Territory in general?
No, good question, Bruss. Yeah, I think for those who don't know, we moved up there about 4.5 years ago, probably, to the NT, to Darwin, Larrakia country. And yeah, it was just, you know, so special for me to be able to go up there during COVID and spend time up there. We set up one of our set up Narramelli as an office up in the NT and started supporting Aboriginal businesses up in the Northern Territory, House of Darwin, Laundry Gallery, Brother to Another, Myala Bowl, heaps, which is really cool, and supported a lot of charities to be created as well, which is so special and so, yeah, such an amazing thing. And through that, got to, yeah, create connections, create networks, but also to be able to go explore this, that beautiful part of the world. And I guess, yeah, just to utilize our privilege now that we've created for ourselves, to then share those moments with others in every way. And so met Uncle Robbie Cooper, which was really deadly, and helped Uncle Robbie with a few things through Narramilli, and then got to go out to Willagee, which is, I'd say it's northeast Arnhem Land. It's about, on Google Maps, it says it's a 12-hour drive. It takes you about 5 hours, 5.5 hours. But you do have to, so you got to drive across Cowles Crossing, crocodile infested waters. Last time we went there with the kids, there was crocs. I think we counted 20 crocodiles sitting next to the car, and there's water over the bonnet, and you're cruising through just to give you a landscape. And that's just, I won't tell about some of the other spots because they are sacred and special, and we don't want people to go there, too many people to go there. But yeah, and then got to meet everyone out the outstation at Willagee, and ended up helping them with their businesses as well, which is really amazing, and sort of really got welcomed into the community there as well. And so privileged to be able to have that connection now. And yeah, just really, it's such a special place, and it's so untouched, like you said. And you can see the beauty of country there because it's so untouched and it's so disconnected. And like you said, there's no reception in a lot of those places. And so we have taken young people up there for circuit breakers and spent like a week out there. We've also taken young people up there as a celebration for their achievements. They've come through some, yeah, pretty difficult times, and some really massive challenges that I could never fathom as a child, and actually being able to come through the other end, in many ways. So to be able to actually just celebrate them, by saying, "Hey, we're going to go to the NT. You want to come? We're going to go out to Arnhem Land, or we're going to go to Kakadu, or whatever, for a week. You want to come?" It's our shout. And so special. And everyone that we work with up there is so generous with their time, their knowledge, and everything else as well, that it's just been such a beautiful thing. And now that we've got Strong Brother, Strong Sister Youth Hub up in Darwin as well, and we've got really great partnership with Brother to Another, which is another youth organisation. It's really exciting because we are planning a trip for 3 young people that grew up in out of home care. Obviously, I can't share too much, but for confidential reasons. But yeah, these 3 young people grew up in out of home care, lived in 20 odd different households, were at risk of residential care for a period of time, and have just been let down by the system, I'd say, and have been with us since the beginning too. We've watched them grow. They're almost adults now. Like, they're almost all 18 and 17 or whatever, as well. And really, yeah, their care is incredible and does lots for them and advocates for them as well. And I think, sadly at times, child protection and service providers see that care as a pain in the butt. But they are doing what any other person would do and should do in that situation, is advocate for the best opportunities for those young people. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's really exciting. We're looking to take those 3 young people we'll fly up to Darwin, stay in Darwin the night, obviously, because you get in about 12 o'clock midnight. But then also, then we'll go stay, for the night in Darwin, go check out the youth hub, which would be really cool. And then we've got some other young people that we work with up in Larrakia country that will actually come out with us as well. So we're joining the teams up, which is really exciting. And we'll go out to, first we'll stop off in Kakadu, spend a night or 2 in Kakadu, and really go check out some of the incredible sacred places out that way. Spend some time with Dennis with two N's. Dennis is a character that works at Coinda Lodge and does all the croc tours, all the wildlife tours on the boats there. Beautiful human being and yeah, amazing with our young ones as well. So we'll go see Dennis with two N's, as he always says, and spend some time there, but then also go explore all the beautiful waterholes, waterfalls, see some incredible rock art. We'll also then go to, on the way to Kale's Crossing, which is that dangerous crossing, check out Uber rock art sites. And there's, rock art dating back to the Ice Age there as well.
Mm.
And just to be able to share that with our young ones, that our culture is that incredible. It's been with us for 60,000 plus years, and to allow our young ones to really understand that they are part of something truly amazing is really important as well. And then we sort of shoot off and we'll probably spend 4 nights out Arnhem Land, which is good. And you've been out there. I think we did traditional burning too. You did, didn't you?
Yeah,
Last time
yeah.
we were out there.
Yeah, no, it was truly amazing, and to for any of our young people to go out there and experience that, I think will be, such an amazing moment. And I guess what we're speaking about before, like it's so untouched and so beautiful and vibrant, and the wildlife and the ecosystems are so intact, but it's also so well maintained as well by
Yeah.
the traditional owners. And so we got to participate and help Uncle Robbie out with doing a traditional burn. And yeah, there's a lot of cultural knowledge that goes into that, whether it's, seeing what direction the wind is going, and making sure that it's the right time of the year to burn, and that the soil will burn at the right temperature, and that the animals know about it and can get out of the way in time so the fire doesn't spread too quickly. So just all these ecosystems and cultural systems that are so well maintained, looked after, vibrant, is so nice to see, especially as you said, coming from down here where a lot of our river systems have been impacted, and our cultural sites have been, dug up or used for housing, and so yeah, I think it'll be an amazing experience, and just to see the the looks on their faces when we do something like go crabbing, and or jump on the boat and see crocodiles in the water and bull sharks, and it really is an experience like no other. And yeah, I think it'll be a great celebration trip for these three young boys that have, like you said, been through so much, but on the contrary to that, have persevered and shown great resilience to be the leaders that they are in their own way in community as well, and to see how much they've attacked all the opportunities in front of them, and climbed over all the obstacles and barriers as well. So yeah, I think it'll be a great celebration trip, and I guess a reminder that we see the effort they're putting in and the work they're doing, and it's to be rewarded and celebrated. And I think it'll be an amazing trip.
Yeah, 100%. And on that note, we're really grateful for our philanthropic partners. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this amazing trip. So we just big shout out to our incredible partners that fund this sort of stuff, because it's so important. But it's really hard to get it funded through any other channel, because everyone doesn't see it for what it is in many ways. Like government, I don't think really truly understand it and the importance of that piece. I think I was really lucky after UMob went home, because I was still living up in the NT when you came up, hey, and Keeds did a traditional burn, which was amazing. And we watched that night. We watched the country burn, that sounds really awful how I just said that, but we saw the beauty of that traditional burn at night time. But then we had some dramas on the way out there. We took my boat, and my boat's quite a large boat. It's, I think, 7 meters boat. and I underestimated the roads at that time of year. So that for those who don't know, the road's quite brutal. There's no asphalt, there's no nothing. It's just they might grade it every now and again, but it's pretty full on. And we blew 4 tires. Um, and broke a heap of U-bolts on the trailer, which meant we had to ratchet strap everything together. And I think the last 10 Ks we were driving, well, it's a tandem trailer, so you got 4 wheels. We used every single tire to the point where we had 3 tires left on the boat and had to drive really, really slow. And we made it there anyway. So I left my boat and trailer out there, and then had to go back out and get it, but also fix it. And it was great. We got to learn some life skills, or you guys got to learn some life skills that I got to learn years ago, to fix that trailer. But on the way back out there, it'd been about 2 weeks, I reckon, after we'd been out there, and I got to see the actual beauty of the burn, and seeing all the regrowth and the greenness of it coming through already, the flourishing of the animals eating all the seedlings and that have had opened up from the fire and so much more. Was a really special thing for me to be able to actually see the ripple effects of that traditional burn that you guys did when we were up there, which is really special. So there's so many elements to it. I guess that people don't, I guess non-First Nations people in ways won't be able to fully see based on our experiences as blackfellas, I guess, in many ways. But yeah.
I guess just a question. You know how you were talking about how some of the government agencies aren't able to see the value in those opportunities and those moments and those trips. What do you think is one step someone could take to be able to start to recognize the value, opportunity, and the outcomes that can come from those sort of trips?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think it's just like, I don't know what it is, but I think it's just about backing. Yeah, like in terms of sorry, that wasn't really very clear, but I think in terms of why they can't see it, it's really, I can't understand why. 'Cause it's so simple. It's so simple. And all the work we do is so simple. In terms of it's not really that simple, but it's the way that we do our work is very simple. It's around creating connections. It's around supporting and wrapping around and centering a child. And in this case, in terms of going out on country, whether it's their country or not, um, it's about being able to disconnect from whatever's going on, like you was talking about before, whether it's, you know, I guess, a circuit breaker or there's some really traumatic circumstance going on. And, but yeah, I think it comes down to, the buzzword at the moment, self-determination with government, yet they won't actually fully allow us to be self-determined realistically, because it's always like, oh, you can do that, but we need you to do it this way. So is that really self-determination? No, no. So, yeah, I think it's just being able to trust First Nations people as the experts of First Nations issues, and, not undervaluing us. We're psychologists, we're counselors, we're mental health professionals, we're doctors, we're, like accountants, business owners, whatever. We are, experts in our fields, and we are the experts of our own lives and our own communities in many ways. So I think it just comes down to backing ourselves. We're really lucky that there is that philanthropic partner, and it was literally just saying to them, hey, we want to take these 3 boys up to do this trip. It's so important. This is what's happened over the last, certain amount of years. We want to celebrate them. We want to celebrate their achievements and where they are. And that philanthropic partner was like, hell yeah. What do you need? And because they trust us, they trust our work. They can see what we see and they believe in what we're doing.
No,
I
definitely.
think,
And I think it's more than trust. I think it's them able to appreciate, the different outcomes that those moments have. And I think potentially a reason why most government agencies can't see it is because it's such a different cultural value system, even in terms of how to solve problems or negate issues. Whereas, like you said before, these opportunities about building connections, whether it's through identity, culture, kinship, family, community, whereas the government systems in out-of-home care focus a lot more on clinical interventions, whether that's, youth justice or, really clinical like hospitals or out-of-home care facilities, or it's almost the opposite. It's almost like stripping connections and
Yeah.
kind of referring to young people as just numbers and data, and how can we control, kind of control the issue in a way that'll make it more manageable and cause less harm, instead of lifting and building this person back up.
100%.
Um,
I'm just going to jump in there.
yeah,
I hope you don't mind, because
go
I
for it.
think it's a really good segue into this. And to give everyone an example and some context behind it, these young people that we're taking on this trip have been trying to get their passport so they can go overseas and travel because they want to travel once they're 18. And, to even just get that passport, they can't do that themselves, and their carer can't do it for them either. So they are literally controlled by this system. And it'd be a lot quicker for the individual, like the young person, and their carer to go and get the passport, right? Like they can just go do it today,
Yeah.
but the system doesn't allow that. And there's the child protection worker that's saying, no, I have to do this. Yet it's been 4 weeks and they haven't even started the process in filling out the paperwork for their passport, and that's the sort of stuff that I guess you're talking about now, in terms of those systems and those processes and those different things that can't allow certain things to happen in a way. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think
No.
that was that's such a
Yeah.
really good example of sort of what you sort of we're talking about is, that, like I said, that child protection worker still hasn't activated or even started
Mm.
that process, which
Yeah.
which disables that individual from being able to even look at going overseas yet, because they are, I don't know what the best word is, but they're bound by this
Being
child
almost
protection
held
worker.
hostage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%, which is awful, But then when it comes to a time when they turn 18, it's like, catch you later.
Mm.
You're on your own now, which is even worse, And we've seen so many cases of that, realistically. But anyway, sorry.
No. Like you said, I think that is a great example of how, I guess, the system, this Western system, has a way of wanting to control everything that's happening. But I guess, as we spoke about earlier, this way hasn't been working.
Yeah.
And so
It still doesn't work.
and still doesn't work. And so I think it would be great for people in these systems to have some reflection and, like you said, start to enable the experts, which is us as community and mob and our own people, to actually self-determine, our futures. And like you said, it's great to have funding partners that do get it, and they're able to see, oh no, this will work. What is happening now isn't working.
100%.
And so I think the more we can highlight these examples and showcase them, and to more people in our communities, to different funding partners, help other youth orgs showcase what they're doing as well. We might be able to, as you like to say, disrupt the system a bit more and go towards a new way of working where it's really from a strength-based perspective, instead of a deficit, where we're always chasing things, and we're actually creating the stuff and our opportunities ourselves with people that understand the work and who get it as well. But I think, we'll probably try to showcase this trip in some way as well. Do you want to speak about a little bit about why and the importance of showcasing and our work, and why that's actually such a valuable asset?
Yeah, I think there's a few touch points on that. So first of all, we have the incredible Fox, who's behind the lens right now, who does all our amazing work, in terms of the podcast, in terms of our social content, our videos, our photography, our Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of stuff, our website. And he puts up with so much, especially from you and me. We probably put him through hell every morning of a podcast, and we appreciate him dearly. Bus, he's looking at us, but can't see Fox behind the lens. But work he does is so important because first of all, he captures it in that context of a video for a trip like this trip that we're talking about. So those young people that we're taking can have that forever and cherish that. It is There is photos and there will be a video of that whole trip for them personally as a gift for them to keep forever and always look back on. And that is the most important bit. So we can capture that moment and those moments for any young person, whether it's a return to country, whether it's just whether it's a cultural trip because we're celebrating their achievements and they've already done their return to country and they want to go somewhere else, or but yeah, that is the most important piece for them as a reflection, as a memory to hold on to forever. Because that is I think for a lot of the young ones that we work with, that is a pivotal moment in their life in many ways. For other reasons, sadly, some philanthropic partners or government agencies want to see what we're doing. They have to see black kids out bush doing culture, which is really sad. And I'm sure you back me up on this, that's a thing. Like that is a thing, which is crazy to think that we have to market something to someone to sell it to get more funding, like unfortunately. But I think also, but that's the I guess the negative part of it. Is the other piece is just to be able to showcase the excellence of our young ones and celebrate them, and if they want us to share it with everyone, to celebrate them and their achievements and their journey, that's amazing because it gives it highlights their incredible work, it highlights their excellence, it highlights their achievements and what they've come through, and it celebrates the beauty of that moment, in many ways. But we would never post anything or share anything without anyone's permission, realistically.
Yeah, no, of course. But even though I guess what you said, it's becoming important for funding partners to see. I also think it's great that the government agencies see it as well, because they can see, it kind of shows them, oh, we're not doing this. This is what, orgs grassroots orgs that are doing it by themselves are able to do with, small budgets and limited funding. And what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I think it almost sends a really great reminder to government agencies. Oh, okay, we've actually got to lift our game because we're getting millions of taxpayer dollars every year, and we're not doing anything half as meaningful for the young people in care.
100%. Because on that, I was listening to the federal budget announcements, and again, young people in out-of-home care have been let down. There's been no increase in funding for the out-of-home care system, especially for Aboriginal children and young people in the out-of-home care system. Nothing has increased in terms of that budget, yet our kids are still being removed at a higher rate as we go on. So that's a perfect example of that is, there's no investment from departments, government, to further support the at-home care system, to be able to support Aboriginal young people, especially because we are 10 times more likely, our kids are 10 times more likely to end up in the at-home care system. It's scary, especially as a parent myself.
No, definitely. I guess, we've spoken a bit about, I guess, some of the exciting trips we've got coming up, return to countries, trips to MT, some of the work that's happening in Northern Territory with Strong Brother and also, Brother to Another as well.
Yep.
And those opportunities that are being created for young people for almost the first time up there in many ways, would you say?
Yeah, 100%.
And is there anything else that you think is coming up soon that you would want to talk about, or
Yeah, I think.
just let everyone know?
Yeah, the only other one I guess is around the youth hub up on Larrakia country.
Yeah.
It's finished. We've finished building it. I went up there 2 weeks ago for the week, I think. Was it? Yeah. It is incredible space. It's 1,200 square meters. It's probably double the size of this space. Fully air-conned space in the NT.
Which is a rarity up there.
Rarity, yeah. There's actually no youth hub, like let alone for Aboriginal First Nations young people. There's no youth hub at all for any young people in the NT in Darwin. They knocked it down for a McDonald's. Crazy, right? That was one of the biggest reasons why we built it. The other biggest reason was because they moved their youth hub to a school hall. One, not all young people are going to feel safe or comfortable to go to a youth hall. And no diss to the amazing people that work there or, anything like that. There are amazing people in those spaces. It's just a thing of being let down by the people that are in charge of, whether it's council, whether it's government, whatever. They're the ones that have, I guess, let down the systems and the young people and the workers in those spaces. But yeah, after the referendum results, me and Jai, who's the founder and managing director at Brother to Another, got together, and we're like, yeah, let's do this, Bruss. And now we actually share a whole complex, which is really rad. And I'm sure it's really rare in the youth space, but there's 2 First Nations youth orgs sharing a complex. So we have a warehouse at the front that is that 1,200 square meter warehouse that we've converted into a youth hub. Like I said, it's fully aircon. There's arcade games machines. There's a woodwork studio. There's an art studio. There's like a movie area where kids can chill and watch movies.
Full kitchen,
sensory room. We've got our offices in there. We've got 2 full-time staff there at the moment. We are looking for further funds to be able to get more staff to do more work up there at the moment. There's like chill out spaces. There's games areas. Like it's just one-stop shop, which is really rad. And then out the back at Brother to Another, they're in a separate space similar to ours. They've got their offices there, and then they've got a warehouse area which is fully set up, and they've got this state-of-the-art fitness gym as well. And then there's the big car park, which you could have full markets there. You could pretty much do anything you want in that space, which is really exciting. So we're working with a heap of young people at the moment in a one-on-one space and a youth group space, which is really cool. But we're going to launch it and open it to official opening in the dry season. So we can activate the whole car park space. We can activate both spaces, and share our work. And, which is really exciting. And I think it's how all organizations should work together in the youth sector. We see so many people and organizations trying to do youth work, and they jump into it and they don't fully commit to it. Like if you're going to commit to working with young people and children, you can't go in half-assed, you need to give it everything and make sure it's 200%. Can't pick and choose when you're going to do things or say you're going to do something and then cancel it or whatever. You need to be consistent. You need to be invested, and you need to, back those young people. And I think, sadly, you see it across everywhere as greed gets in the way. I think everyone thinks strong brother, strong sister makes heaps of, gets heaps of grants and makes heaps of money, but that's not actually the case. We run off an oily rag. But it's examples like this partnership we have with Brother to Another that make things work extremely well, that allow the best possible opportunities for young people in that space, I guess, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I guess it's also, like you're saying, it's an example of, I guess, organizations that are in the same space. Some in some areas, or maybe down here, would be seen as, oh, those are 2 competing orgs.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess it's an example that no, youth orgs aren't really competing. They should be there to strengthen each other and fill in the gaps that each other, can't meet, or come together to be strong for all young people in community. So I think that's also a really great example of that.
Yeah, 100%. And you've been up there. You've seen how it all works. You've seen the relationship we have with those brother boys up there. And so it's really special, And I think, I've got lifelong friends from those brother boys, and we'll always have those lifelong friends. And it's just trust. We all trust each other and we all back each other. And we all know what we're all working towards. So there's no there's no muddy water or anything in terms of that, in many ways. It's just
And the only thing you really have to hold each other accountable to is the young people at the end of the day, which makes it easier to, make decisions because it's all in the best interest of the young people that you work with.
100%. 100%. And like everyone knows I'm pretty loose when it comes to, decision making and certain things. And I think that's probably fun times where I probably freak those brother boys out every now and again, where I might do something and just go, whoop, we're going this way now, and that's how my brain works. But they're used to it now, which is quite funny. But imagine at the start, that would have stressed poor old brother Jai out a fair bit. But it's really special, which is really cool. And I think, now we've got these two beautiful spaces. There's opportunities to be able to, have our young ones go up there because they want to, and same with our young people up there. They want to come down here and surf in the ocean where they're not going to get bitten by a croc or stung by a jellyfish, And our kids want to go up there to catch $1 million barra, which is amazing. So
great way to continue that cultural sharing.
Yeah.
Between down here in Wadawurrung country and up there
100%.
as well. So I think that covers pretty much all we wanted to speak about. Just pretty much the exciting stuff coming up and the opportunities and events, and we'll try to showcase them with everyone as well. I think we'll wrap up here for today.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd want to say?
No, just cautious. We have spoken a lot about out-of-home care. If anyone is listening or has listened to this podcast and it has brought up anything that may affect your health or well-being or your mental health, there are amazing organisations out there that do provide 24-hour supports, Lifeline, Headspace, 13 Yarn, and also reach out to Strong Brother, Strong Sister. Be kind to yourself. You're not alone. There is amazing people out there that will back you and will continue to back you. I think that's it.
Great.
Me. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching this week's episode.
If you would like to see more of this type of content, like and subscribe.
If you want to support the work that we do at Strong Brother, Strong Sister,
Visit our website and make a donation today.
see ya!